Chapter 15. Step 5. Seek mentors. A mentor is someone who tells you what is important and what is not important, who guides you to places you have never been to before. A mentor is someone who tells you what is important and what is not important. Mentors tell us what is important. The following financial statement from the Cashflow board game was created to be a mentor. It trains people to think like my rich dad thought and points out what he considered to be financially important. My highly educated but poor dad thought that a job with a high salary was important and that buying your dream home was important. He also believed in paying bills first and living below your means. My rich dad taught me to focus on passive income and spend my time acquiring assets that provide passive or long-term residual income. He did not believe in living below your means. To his son and me, he often said, instead of living below your means, focus on expanding your means. To do that, he recommended that we focus on building the asset column and increasing our passive income from capital gains, dividends, residual income from businesses, rental income from real estate, and royalties. Both dads served as strong mentors for me as I grew up. The fact that I chose to follow the financial advice of my rich dad did not lessen the impact that my poor dad had on me. I would not be who I am today without the strong influence of both of these men. Reverse role models. Just as there are mentors who are excellent role models, there are people who are bad role models. In most instances, we all have both types in our lives. For example, I have a friend who has made more than $800 million in his lifetime, but today he's bankrupt. I have had other friends ask me why I continue to spend time with him. The answer to that question is because he is both an excellent role model and an excellent reverse role model. I can learn from both role models. One teaches me what to do, while the other serves as an example of what not to do. Spiritual role models. Both of my dads were spiritual men, but when it came to money and spirituality, they had different points of view. For instance, they interpreted the meaning behind the love of money is the root of all evil differently. My highly educated, but poor, dad felt any desire to have more money or to improve your financial position was wrong. On the other hand, rich dad believed that temptation, greed, and financial ignorance were wrong. In other words, rich dad did not think money by itself was evil. He did believe that working all your life as a slave to money was evil, and to be in financial slavery to personal debt was evil. My rich dad often had a way of converting religious teachings into financial lessons, and I would like to share one of those lessons with you now. The power of temptation. Rich dad believed that individuals who worked hard, were chronically in debt, and lived beyond their means were poor role models for their children because they gave into temptation and greed. He would often draw a diagram like the following and say, and lead us not into temptation, as he pointed to the liability column. Rich dad believed that many financial problems came from the desire to possess items that had little value. When credit cards arrived, he foresaw that millions of people would go into debt which would eventually control their lives. We see people going into tremendous personal debt for homes, furnishings, clothes, vacations, and cars because they lack control over that human emotion called temptation. Today, people work harder and harder to buy things they think are assets, but their spending habits will never allow them to acquire real assets. Rich dad would then point to the asset column and say, but deliver us from evil. This was rich dad's way of saying that delaying gratification, a sign of emotional intelligence, minding your own business, and building your asset column first would help you avoid the degradation of the human spirit caused by temptation, lack of financial education, and the influence of financially poor role models. For those of you seeking your own personal fast track, I can only caution you to be careful about the people you surround yourself with. Ask yourself, are they good role models? If not, I suggest you spend more time with people who are heading in the same direction you are. If you cannot find them at work, look for them in investment clubs, network marketing groups, and other business associations. Find someone who's been there. Choose your mentors wisely. Be careful from whom you take advice. If you want to go somewhere, it is best to find someone who has already taken the journey. For example, if you decide to climb Mount Everest next year, obviously you would seek advice from someone who had climbed the mountain before. However, when it comes to climbing financial mountains, Most people get advice from people who are stuck in financial swamps. It is hard to find mentors who are B's and I's. Most people giving advice about those quadrants and about money are people who actually come from the E and S quadrants. Rich Dad encouraged me to always have a coach or mentor. He constantly said, professionals have coaches. Amateurs do not. For example, I play golf and I take lessons, but I do not have a full-time golf coach. This is probably why I pay money to play golf instead of getting paid to play. But when it comes to the game of business and investing, I do have coaches, several of them. Why? Because I get paid to play those games. So choose your teachers and mentors wisely. It is one of the most important things you can do. Take action. 1. Seek mentors. Find individuals in both the investment and business arenas who might act as mentors to you. A. Seek out role models. Learn from them. B. Seek out reverse role models. Learn from them. 2. Who you spend your time with is your future. Write down the 6 people you spend the most time with. Remember that the qualifier is who you spend the most time with, not the nature of your relationship. All of your children count as one person. Don't read any further until you have written down your 6 names. I was at a seminar many years ago when the instructor asked us to do this. He then asked us to examine the names we had written and announced, you are looking at your future. The 6 people you spend the most time with are your future. These 6 people you spend the most time with may not always be personal friends. They may be your coworkers, spouse, children, or members of your church or other social groups. My list consisted of coworkers, business associates, and rugby players. It was pretty revealing once I began to look below the surface. I gained insights about myself that I liked, and even more that I didn't. The instructor had us go around the room and discuss our lists with others. After a while, the relevance of the exercise began to sink in even deeper. The more I discussed my list with other people and the more I listened to them, the more I realized that I needed to make some changes. This exercise had little to do with the people I was spending my time with and everything to do with where I was going and what I was doing with my life. Today, the people I spend the most time with are all different except one. The 5 others on my earlier list are still dear friends, but we rarely see each other. They are great people, and they are happy with their lives. Their removal from my list was all about me. I wanted to change my future. To do that, I had to change my thoughts and the people I spent time with. 3. In your list of 6 people, after each person's name, list the quadrant they operate from. Are they an E, S, B, or I? If they are unemployed or retired, list the quadrant they earned their income from when they worked. Leave a blank for young children and students. A reminder, the quadrant reflects the way that person generates the majority of their income. A person can have more than one designation. For example, my wife Kim would have a B and an I next to her name since she generates income from each. My list would have Kim at the top since she and I spend almost all of our time together. Name quadrant S. 1. Kim Kiyosaki B. I. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4. The next step is to list each person's level as an investor. Please refer to Chapter 5 and the 5 levels of investors. Kim is a level 5 investor. If you do not know a person's investor level, do your best and take an educated guess. Name quadrant S. Investor level. 1. Kim Kiyosaki B. I level 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. I have had mixed reviews from people about this exercise. Some people get very angry. I have been told, how dare you ask me to classify the people around me. So if this exercise has caused any emotional upset, please accept my apologies. It is not intended to upset anyone, but is designed to shine some light on an individual's life. It does for some, but not for everyone. When I did this exercise years ago, I realized that I was playing it safe and hiding. I was not happy where I was, and I used the people I worked with as the excuse for why I was not making progress in my life. There were 2 people in particular with whom I argued constantly, blaming them for holding our company back. My daily routine at work was to find their faults, point those flaws out to them, and then blame them for the problems we had as an organization. After completing this exercise, I realized that the 2 people I was always bumping heads with were very happy where They were. I was the one who wanted to change. Instead of changing myself, I was pressuring them to change. After doing this exercise, I realized that I was projecting my personal expectations onto others. I wanted them to do what I did not want to do. I thought they should want and have the same things I did. Clearly, they were not healthy relationships. Once I realized this, I was able to take steps to change myself. 5. Take a look at the cash flow quadrant and place the initials of the people you spend time with in the appropriate quadrant. Then put your initials in the quadrant you are in at present. Next, put your initials in the quadrant you want to operate from in the future. If the initials are all primarily in the same quadrant, chances are you are a happy person because you are surrounded by like-minded people. If they are not all in the same quadrant, you may want to consider some changes in your life.